We'll be coming on live in a minute, everybody. Hey everybody, Greg Medford from Medford Knife, MKT USA, and Greg's World. Welcome to Greg's World. We're going to be talking to Congressman Blackman today. He's come in from where he lives up in Snowflake. Man, we've got a lot of territory to cover. I've just given him a tour of the facility. We're going to bring him in now and sit down and chat. You know, not meant to be a gotcha. It's going to be just a cordial sit down and fun. Congressman Blackman, come on in and join us. Come on in.
Okay.
We got to be a little knee to knee, up close and personal, the way we're set up in this small room. So just go ahead and sit right there and kind of straddle up on the barrel here, like you're facing in right here.
Right. Okay.
All right, a little bit to your right. Yep, like coming in straight here.
Oh yeah, that's good. Yeah.
All right. And then,
Straight?
yep,
Got me?
and yep, knee to knee, just like we are. And then go ahead and put your headset on
Like
there.
I'm in a tank.
Yeah, it's close up.
Knee to knee.
Like, hey, what's going on, boss? And then
just shoot. Just shoot.
microphones you want just about an inch from your mouth, so just kind of adjust it up there.
Okay.
And then while we're talking, if you kind of gimbal around the mic,
All right.
you won't fade in and out for everybody.
Oh, okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you coming in. So we've been on social media now for about 10 years. 11 years. I started really doing social media for a knife company before most people were.
Yeah.
And it was just serendipitous, and so we have a pretty big footprint that's probably bigger than it ought to be, but just because I was in early.
It's nice.
I want to talk about a few things with you today. So we met at the Trump rally recently.
Yeah, we did.
And you're 2 years into a political career right now.
Yeah. Second term.
So Congressman Blackman is out of Snowflake, Arizona.
Yep.
He is representative from Arizona's 6th congressional district at the state level right now.
Legislative district.
Legislative district.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I believe there are 60 House seats here in Arizona. You're one of those, right?
I'm one of those.
Okay,
Yeah.
So there's 60 House, 30 Senate, I believe.
Yeah.
It's been a while since my Arizona civics class.
Yeah. So we're 31 and 29 right now. We hold a close majority.
Okay. And obviously, not obviously, but he's a Republican.
Yeah.
Arizona's first black legislative Republican. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
How the hell did that happen in 2019?
I don't know. Well,
No, I mean, I don't mean how did we get a black. I'm like, how is it 2019 that it was the first black guy?
the first black guy.
Well,
Yeah.
because the other 7 black people in Arizona didn't run.
Well, yeah, exactly. Exactly. They said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to do that.
Like, wait a minute, we got a black guy running for Congress?
Who's this guy? This guy?
So you're out of Snowflake, and you've been up in Snowflake since you got out of the Army?
Yes, in 2016.
All right, cool. So let's back up a little bit, and we'll jump into Arizona, and then we'll jump into U.S. politics in a minute.
Sure.
We met at the Trump rally, and we were cracking up because my mom and I had been talking about you because you're kind of in the work up to the primary race right now.
Yes, I am.
So for those of you who has been a long time since your civics class, every 2 years, representatives are up for re-election every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
So he is going up against Tom O'Halloran, which is a Democrat that's held the seat for, I think, 6 years now.
Yeah, he's occupied it.
He's occupied. And so as a former tank commander, they're getting ready to do a frontal assault and take him out. I hope you do.
Yeah.
It seems like Arizona's got a funny political paradigm. We'll have conservatives that vote a little liberal, and we'll have Democrats that vote a little conservative.
Yeah, those are the blue dogs, I call them. Yeah.
Well, we got a lot of conflicting. We have a lot of conflicting diversity and needs in the state between the Indian communities, the Mexican community, the
Rural.
Maine Anglo community, the rural, and the big cities. So there's, and it's probably the same in every state. Every state's got some of that, but we have a big Indian population here, native population.
We do. Navajo Nation is it's the biggest in the United States.
Okay, and that's up in your district, right?
It is.
Four Corners area.
Yes, it is.
All right, beautiful up there. So tell us a little bit about you being born in Portugal. You're kind of an Air Force brat, born on an Army base. Is that about right?
Yeah, well, I was born on a place called Field. It's an Air Force base, and it's surprised how that happened. So my parents met in San Antonio, where my dad went to basic training, and he stayed there for a while. And when I guess when my mom was pregnant, she was like 8 months pregnant. He got stationed in Field, and she said, "You're not going by yourself." And they said she couldn't.
Smart move.
Oh yeah, it's a very smart move. Yeah. She was like, "Yeah, you ain't doing that."
Yeah, I'm going with you.
Yeah. So he went over first, and she kicked and screamed to get on the aircraft to go over to Field, and she wasn't supposed to fly. So she flew over to Portugal, Field, and I was born like the next month. And my parents said my first language was Portuguese. And I'm like, hey, I don't even know. Yeah, come on. Can I order a burger or something in it, And stayed there, then went back to Texas, went to Buffalo, New York, then went to not Fort, but an Air Force base in Louisiana.
Okay.
And my dad went to Vietnam from 70 to 71. He was at Cameron Base and Air Force Security Police. And then after that, we moved to Germany and lived and grew up in Germany, a place called Wiesbaden. And my dad was stationed at a place called Lindsay Air Station, where he was a cop. And matter of fact, he retired after 26 years, and he is still there.
Oh, you're kidding?
Yeah. I'm not kidding. No, he's still there. I call him a black German.
So, so he retired and just stayed in Germany.
He retired and stayed in Germany. He after he retired, he worked for the Department of the Army as a civilian and was the deputy provost marshal because he's real big in law enforcement. Did a lot of work with the Polizei and other nations' law enforcement, and bought a house and lives there. And I'm like, okay,
hysterical.
But he can't vote. And he's not a citizen. So, yeah, and he reminds me of that. So maybe our country should do a little bit more with what Germany does when they're for their immigration. Yeah. Yeah, you can't be an illegal and or just a visitor and vote.
Yeah, seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Seems great.
Yeah.
Okay, so sprechen Sie Deutsch?
Ein Bier bitte.
Ein Bier bitte. Okay,
yeah,
so a little bit.
That's it. That's
all right. So you were in the American school on base.
I was. A place called General H.H. Arnold High School.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So did you go to high school in Europe as well?
Sure did. Went to elementary, middle school, and high school.
So you were you mostly in Wiesbaden the whole time?
The whole time.
Oh,
Wiesbaden.
okay.
But I did a lot of traveling around.
Yeah, all right.
So when I played sports, we went all the way to a place called Osterhof or whatever, and that's like about 6-7 hours away. Went to Berlin and played.
Mm-hmm. What were you playing? What game?
Football.
You playing football?
Yeah, I played football, and I tried to play some basketball. Not all black people can play basketball. I'm a living proof of that. I just want to let you know. Yeah. So play a little basketball, but football was the big deal.
Okay.
Played a lot of ball.
Awesome. Now you. Did you graduate from high school, go straight into college here? Or what was
graduated from high school from Germany?
Yep.
And then went to school, a little school called Southwest Texas State University down in San Marcos, Texas.
Okay.
Went there and then finished up at the University of Texas. And then went to work for the U.S. Department of Labor. You've heard of Gary Job Corps?
I have.
Yeah, I did. I was a counselor for Gary Job Corps students. And then I decided to go in the military after that because I wanted to do a little bit something more and serve.
All right. 21 years in the Army?
21 years as an Army.
Tanks most of the time?
All the time.
Tanks the whole time?
The whole time.
Were you in, so you were M1 Abrams or what?
Yeah, started in the M1 straight Abrams and then went to the M1A2s and then graduated to the SEPs. Did some time on the MGS's, the main gun system with a 105. And then also my last actually platoon sergeant job, I was a striker platoon sergeant where we had strikers, then we had 2 MGSs, we had a squad of infantry, and then we had 1 tank or 2 tanks in that. And so the armor folks sort of kind of did the Frankenstein of the new deployment of the weapon system of the tank and the 105 weapon system with the infantry folks fighting with us.
Cool. And you were not. You obviously were an officer.
No.
No, you were enlisted.
NCO.
Oh, I thought you were. I thought. I
Oh
read,
no, NCO.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I retired as a master sergeant. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, NCO. Yeah.
Okay, now I kind of like you a little bit better because I was getting ready to fucking bag on zero. Because I was like, after what we started touching on what's gone down in Afghanistan in the last few days, we could do a whole show on it. But to hear, if you watch the replays of what generals have been saying for 20 years as a montage, it is a swamp sucking straw of bullshit. It's hard to believe that they said it out loud in public, what was being said.
All of them should have no promote OERs. All of them. All of them.
You're kinder than I am. I feel like as soon as you pass colonel, there are survivors and no creators. It's surviving and how to not take blame and negotiate through the waters of politics.
They'll do the blame. They'll do the blame.
Awful. Well, we're going to talk about that towards the end of the show because I'm hot under the collar about it. I could derail the whole hour.
Yeah, and thank you for your service too in the Marine
thanks.
Corps.
Yeah,
appreciate that.
I would have done it for free in retrospect. I wanted to talk a little bit. So we got you growing up. You get out of the Army. Where'd you meet your wife?
I met her online and during my first deployment to Iraq. So she actually would send boxes of candy and all that good stuff into Iraq. I was in a place called Fob Warhorse, and the camp that we were in was Camp Scunyon. Imagine that.
Scunyon. So you have
2004.
One deployment?
I have 2 combat deployments, and then the rest were peacekeeping deployments. So 7 altogether.
An 04, and what was the other one?
The other one was in 2014.
2004. So you had 10 years apart. And
yes.
So you had an Iraq and Afghan deployment.
Yeah, and in between that, Kosovo or Latvia. And then when I was with the operations group at the NTC, we would sometimes go over into theater just to monitor the units that went over after we had trained them to get to, but I don't count those.
Man, I like you better now. I found out you're enlisted the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, shit, man, I think he's some privileged zero. God damn it. Now I feel so much better. All right, fantastic.
No, we bit some of the same dust probably.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So, and then you went over and what was your mission in Afghanistan?
So the first, the mission in Afghanistan was actually, and we're going to get into it, to do the initial closing of some of those FOBs over there, some of those cops over there.
Yeah.
So I flew around a lot to some of these. I didn't fly. I flew in the back of.
You rode?
Yeah, I rode.
Yep.
And we would go to some of these places to make sure that we could close them in a timely manner. And that timely manner was like in 20 years or 15 years, a general phase out that President Trump wanted to do. So we did a lot of that, did a lot of combat patrols with some of the infantry units just to make sure, just to go with them. And because my job was a little bit different as a senior NCO, I wasn't you
weren't kicking down doors.
I wasn't kicking down doors.
Right.
And I love my infantry brothers, but I like to ride.
Hey, it ain't for everybody. Let me tell you.
And I didn't have a tank in Afghanistan. So I either had to walk around with these guys in the back of a stripe.
Listen, my right knee wishes I wasn't in the infantry right now. Trust me.
Yeah, I wasn't kicking down doors, but I got to do a lot of with that. So I was assigned to the 2nd Cavalry Regiment out of Germany.
Okay.
And we were attached to the 4th Infantry Division, which is out of Fort Carson, and we were in RC South. And Regional Command South, and at Jesus, I can't even think Balad, not Balad. I'm thinking that's a wreck. I can't even think of the darn place I was at.
Well, that's all right. It doesn't matter. Tell me about
Kandahar.
Oh, you were in Kandahar.
Kandahar, okay. Yeah, the poo pond.
So you always get stuff off of Wikipedia, and you can't tell what's all there. Said you got a Bronze Star and some other meritorious stuff for service. Good for you.
Same thing.
Appreciate your
service.
Yeah,
same thing. Everybody else. Yeah.
Appreciate it. So you get out of the military. You met your wife online.
Yeah.
Where's she from?
She's from Snowflake.
Okay, so that ends up how you end up in Snowflake.
Actually, her family founded the town.
Oh.
That's quite the first date.
So. I'm going to fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
You walk up to a group of, I don't know if you were doing glad handing all day, but I saw you walk across the whole front of the place. You walked right up to me, reached across an aisle, and we started talking, and then you just walked away. And I turned to Jason and I said, how'd he come up and say hi to me?
Who is that
guy? What made you come over and say hello to me?
Because you look like a vet.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, I mean, come on, you can kind of tell vets.
What is that hostile disdain and scruffy beard look?
No, we're just looking around all the time.
So, what was funny is, my mom and I had been talking about
Yeah.
you, and you're running. Do you have one other person or a couple other people in the primary?
We have a couple other people, but I actually am the front runner right now. So,
Okay.
yeah.
And I know there was a Navy SEAL who has got a
Yes.
he's making bottle openers out of 50 cal bullets or something.
Yeah. I don't know if he's still doing it anymore.
Yeah, and I don't want to belittle that. I
Yeah.
didn't do research. He's not coming to see me because we reached out to them and they were unavailable. So good for you for being here.
Wow.
And I was talking about this earlier, the business that I'm in, there's no magic to it. It's every day doing the work. It's the handshakes. It's the phone calls. It's the talking. It's meeting and everybody.
Yeah.
People say, how do you get to be known by 1 million people? You introduce yourself to 1 million people.
Yeah. Yeah. My first campaign, no name, was my wife and I. And my objective every day was to talk to 100 people, and I did that. Got out and talked to them about real issues, not this BS that you see on these ads or these pamphlets that come to your house. Real issues that affect people.
Cool.
That needed change. So I did that.
So I want to talk to you about stuff here. So let's get into it a
Stuff.
little bit. Yeah, here we go. So we got through all that. You were, in addition to your combative tank responsibilities, you ended up as a senior program manager, sexual assault prevention and diversity.
Yeah. So
Did that get dumped in your lap because you were the black guy?
it got dumped in my lap. Well, actually, it got dumped in my lap because I was the only one with a clean background. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fort Irwin, I was assigned to the 11th Armored Cavalry Regiment, getting ready to PCS, which is moved to a new duty station. And Fort Irwin, I'm not sure if you've been on Fort Irwin, but it's a small type of community in the middle of nowhere. Everybody knows where everybody lives. Regimental command.
This is in Fort Worth up in Washington.
No, this is in California,
Okay.
in the Mojave Desert. It's where.
Okay.
It's like the last stop that brigade combat teams go to train before they ship out overseas. to
Okay, I
Iraq
don't
and
speak Army that
Afghanistan.
much, so I
Yeah.
got to keep up with you.
Yeah. Okay.
So Fort Irwin's in California. What's Fort Lewis is the one I was thinking about.
Fort
Washington.
Lewis.
Okay,
Yeah.
disregard.
Yeah, that's a striker. That's a striker brigade or
Okay.
striker unit. So small community. Everybody knows where everybody lives. I go home after a rotation, field rotation, and a car pulls up behind me. It's a regimental sergeant major, and he gets out, and I'm thinking that one of my guys did something stupid. Yeah. And he says, "Hey, listen, I know you're getting ready to PCS. I was getting ready to go on track actually to West Point to be a TAC NCO." Teach some of those knuckleheads up there. And he says, we need you to be the equal opportunity sexual assault guy. I'm like,
Oh shit.
yeah. Well, actually, I was like, what's that? So, I mean, because I'm a meat eater, armor, infantry, artillery type of.
You've been doing real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because of all the things that have been going on in the military, the tail hook and all the sharp stuff, they needed that. And so he canceled my PCS orders to West Point, extended me out, and then I had to go to a school that actually taught equal opportunity. But it's not the kind of crap that you hear.
It's not critical race theory.
It's not critical race theory. It's actually about being responsible, and if you do something wrong, you go to freaking jail.
So let me ask you about this, okay? Because when I was in the infantry, the only time I was around black guys was in boot camp. And then when I got to Marine Corps infantry, there weren't any black guys around. It was all white dudes.
And there's not a lot of blacks in infantry. That's across all the branches.
So there are a bunch of reasons. I've read all kinds of studies on why it is. But it shorts people on some combat experience.
It sure does.
Which shorts you when you're up for general, and it shorts you when you're up for augmentation in the Marine Corps for captain. So there are a lot of things that combat experience affords you in your career.
Yep.
But you got to make that tough choice in the beginning. And a lot of guys get they're leaving. Let's say. They're going to the military for opportunity instead of for adventure.
Supply and logistics.
Well, they go and they get something that they think's translatable out into the world. Someone says, go in the military to get work experience. And I was always like, screw that. I only want to do the one thing here you can't do anywhere else. Let's go get bad guys.
Well, that's the military's job.
Right.
Everybody else is support.
So you end up as this diversity and training thing, and it's a little in contraton to what you've done your whole career.
Yes, it was.
How long did you do that for?
I did that for about 5-6 years.
Holy smokes, that's a real hitch.
Yeah, 5-6 years. However, it was like a branch detail. So I would still do my armor job or cavalry job, and then I would also, so it wasn't.
So you were double dutying.
Yeah, they didn't take me out of the fight. What they did is say, okay, so you watch these issues, but you still go out and pull triggers.
What I was kind of getting at was there was in the group that I was in, it was pretty homogenous, and it was knuckle dragging for sure.
Oh yeah,
and there's a headbutting of what society wants, and what the infantry, for instance, just my experience in the Marine Corps, we were kind of blunt instruments, and a really good group of guys, like, if you're pinned down and you got a problem and you get an infantry platoon of Marines, it's going to shake the whole thing up. We were disruptors for sure.
It is.
But not great for like dating your daughters around base.
But you got the job done.
Yeah, but it's a lot of weight that's been put on a demographic of people that will do something that's absolutely insane. Because your average person, doctor, lawyer, physician, 55-year-old white lady voting Democrat Party, they would never go walking into a gunfight to help out somebody in a house down the road.
Or walk into a building where they know there could be a house-borne IED.
That's right. Or you have no idea what's coming.
Yeah.
And you just saw your buddy blown up on the last block.
Yeah.
So it's almost a fuzzy, it's a reality most people can't really get.
No.
And then we want them to be gentlemen.
Yeah.
And that's a challenge.
Yeah.
And you know what? I don't see anybody shirking from the responsibility. I don't know if it's the best use of time and energy and effort, but the military's doing a lot of parenting.
Yeah.
And I'm not even being critical of it.
We're holding a lot of hands.
Yes. And I'm not even being critical of it. I can see that it's probably necessary, especially as the military gets more women in combat roles, and they're going to be around there. We got to be like, okay, well, we can't just draw and quarter everybody and have sex with the broken parts. I mean, you guys are animals. We got to calm that down. But you want animals when you're running into the Iron Triangle in, outside of Fallujah.
That's why we call them meat eaters.
Yeah.
And because if we don't have people that actually would go out and do that voluntarily, think of where we would be. I mean, look. We're in a bad place now.
I know.
But you mentioned Fallujah. I mean, the Iron Triangle. RPG Alley down in Bakuba. I mean, you needed guys to go out and actually say, "Yeah, I know I'm going to get hit, but I got to hit back, and I'm doing this for a bigger cause." And I just wanted to spill the myth. A lot of folks say, well, infantry guys and armor guys and cavalry guys are doing it for their country. Yeah, but we're doing it for the guy sitting right next to us, too.
Yeah, and half the guys I was with did it for fun.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's Marine infantry.
It's a little different. I try to explain to people, I'm going, you could talk to them about John Stuart Mills and egalitarianism.
Yeah.
Some bitches just want to blow something
They just
up.
want to shoot something.
Yeah.
And they're legal.
Just tell me who's a bad guy, because I want to get them, boss. And those are great guys to have around.
Yeah,
but, you got to cordon them off from everybody. And I don't think, we don't have honest conversations about that, because you don't.
You got to have discipline of fires, and they're very disciplined.
If you'd have said, you would never hear an officer, a public affairs officer in the Marine Corps ever say, infantry guys are animals. They do an awful job and they eat red meat. That's why we have them.
Yeah.
But that's the truth.
Well, yeah. Who else is going to do it?
And then, so now we're asking a lot of youngsters, besides all the technology we're throwing at high school guys, we're asking them to be ambassadors. We're asking them to be gentlemen, and they have different backgrounds and upbringing than a lot of your officer cadre. It's a big challenge, and you got forced into that breach a little bit.
I did, and
was it helpful?
For me now, and for
was it helpful for the Army guys that you worked with, or was it a pain in the ass?
It was a pain in the ass, because here it was. Okay. It really was, and we're being real about it. So
I appreciate your honesty.
So when you go into a combat arms unit and you're trying to teach equal opportunity, these guys are looking at you like, what the hell are you talking about?
Right.
I need to go out and bore side my tank. You're wasting my time.
Okay.
So
you get out of the military and you start up a consulting firm.
Yes.
I don't know.
So what it is,
it's the WB Inclusion Diversity Consulting Firm.
Yes, and what it is, it's actually a victim advocacy firm. And I do mediation also. This is stuff that I've learned in the military to be able to take with me. And the victim advocacy is basically for sexual assault victims.
Okay.
Even in the Meat Eaters Club, we have sexual assaults. We had sexual assaults in the DOD, in the military, and in the Department of Army. We had that.
Yeah.
And it's a stain.
It's an awful grind in the background of life there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a cancer, needed to be cut it out. And so I saw that transition into civilian life. And I do that, pro bono. I don't charge. I just don't do this. So now, for some classes, I'll probably charge, $3-4.
Like if a firm hires you to come in and talk.
Yeah, I do that. But when we're talking about sexual assault victims, that's a big deal. And I've
so we're not talking about this crazy conversation that's going on in the country right now. So,
no.
Because here's the thing: when I read your bio, it reads like a Democrat in the making.
Yeah,
and it sounds like a Democrat in the making. And then I meet you, and I looked at your voting record, and I was like, he's voting, he's walking, he's talking like a Republican.
Exactly.
But now this is not like race identity. This is
no, hell no.
So okay, because these things really happen in big organizations. And in every group of 1,000 or do traveling trips, stuff happens to people because people are messy.
Exactly. My deal is to give that victim the type of care that they need in a collective environment, that they don't have to keep telling their story over and over and over. And that's what we see now.
Right.
The woke stuff, the CRT stuff, I don't even touch that stuff.
Okay.
My goal is to help victims of sexual assault, and that's what I do.
How did you get interested in that? Just because you're experienced in the Army, seeing it?
Yeah, and the first time that I had to deal with a sexual assault victim, the person was probably about as old as my oldest child, and walked into my office, and it surprisingly, it wasn't a female, it was a male, and young kid was sexually assaulted, and that right there. I had a significant emotional event. And I said that I would do whatever I could in my capacity to be able to help people of sexual assaults. And with the skill and the training that I learned, when I retired, I said, you know what, I'm going to do this. And I did that. And pretty good at it, good at helping people.
That probably means you've got some good empathy to be able to handle that and not get bruised inside too much from handling that because it's messy.
Yeah. So we have since changed the name of my company because of when I started diversity and inclusion, it wasn't this
critical race theory stuff. Yeah.
So we have since changed it, and it is the WB Victim Advocacy Consulting. So we changed the victim advocacy is still there, but we had to change that because I don't want people to think that I'm freaking woke.
Well, it's still the way it reads. It read crooked to me. So I was like, All right, so we could brainstorm on a different name. All right, ready? Let's move on.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
So now you're running for the United States 1st Congressional District out of Arizona for the U.S. Congress.
Yes.
And you've got a really interesting demographic in your district. You've got, in the district you're running for, you've got the largest native population in the country, native tribe.
Yep, and the Apaches.
So you've got a lot of Native Americans. You got a bunch of good old boys and hillbillies out in the mountains.
Yep, sure do. Where I live. Yep.
You got big Mexican contingent down in the southern portion.
Yep.
I think we've got 9 congressional or U.S. House of Rep seats here in Arizona.
Yes, we do.
So you're running for the District 1.
Yeah.
Now, the guy you're running against, he's a Democrat. He's got some flops that he's done on some major votes where he's voted in a way that us conservatives out here kind of vote. Tell me a little bit. I wanted to ask you a couple of things. There were you did a couple of votes that set you apart from the Republican Party in the last 2 years. One was the low-income housing tax credit.
Yep.
So can you give us just really quickly, I know this is dry information for everybody outside, but can you frame it really quick and let me know why you were out of step with the Republicans on that?
Because of the diversity of our district, it was needed. So in Flagstaff, there is a high cost of living there, folks. A 1-bedroom apartment is like $1,200. A kid can't afford that. Okay. Then we had a lot of small businesses, contractors that would start housing development businesses. And I'm not talking about the type of housing development of welfare. I'm talking about great housing at the reasonable price, and it helped small business, it helped students, and it helped those folks that just really needed a step up. So I voted out of step for that because my community needed it.
So the Republicans were against it, and you voted for it.
I voted for it.
Did it pass or not pass?
You know what? I can't remember if that one passed or not.
I just saw that you were out of step with the Republicans.
Yeah.
So I see stuff like that, and I don't want to say it's courageous, because we've probably been around some courageous stuff, but I think it's just having a soul when you're not in lockstep with the herd.
Well, that too, and a lot of folks will go to a legislative body, get elected, or go to Congress, what have you, and then do that lockstep, and they vote to save their seat.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. After serving in the military so long, you do the right thing. We used to call it choosing the hard right over the easy wrong. And sometimes, being a legislator, you have to choose the hard right. And the hard right is taking care of your constituents.
And that, that was the founding fathers were really clear on this. They were very clear that people raising children and working jobs can't be up to speed on the nuances of so many issues. It's very rare to find somebody whose hobby is public policy like mine. So to find our representative democracy, to have people out there who kind of make it their mission to be aware of what's going on, I feel like a good representative is going to be in step with me 80 to 90% of the time, and 15% they're going to be voting. And then it's my job to find out why the hell they were out of step with the crew.
Exactly.
And then I look and go, okay,
exactly.
I get it. Whenever you look a little bit, you could find the nuance of why they're out of step, or you just go, oh, their dad was in the construction business, and you go, all right, get that rat bastard out of office.
Yeah, I don't have anybody in the construction business, but I do see, like, for example, in the Navajo Nation, we've got people that don't have electricity. Right. They don't have water. You have folks that are still using outhouses. Mm-hmm. So to vote for a bill that will continue to push that type of environment, it's hard for me. It would be hard for me to look at myself in the mirror at night. That's choosing the hard right over the easy wrong.
Okay.
But I've been accused of being too conservative too. So
talk to me about there was a bill for shelter beds for homeless over 55 years of age.
Exactly.
You were out of step with the Republicans on that. I guess the Republicans didn't want to put up any money to pay for that.
Exactly. So here's the deal. If we look at demographics, 55 over, we're talking about veterans. Mm-hmm. A lot of those veterans make their way up into northern Arizona, into the rim country where it's a lot of wooded area. Mm-hmm. The problem is that when the winter months hit us, and they hit us pretty quickly up in northern Arizona, they get trapped up there. So in order to be able to help a lot of those veterans and those folks that are 55 plus, it's an opportunity to do that. Also, if you heard of, we do a thing called stand-down days, veteran stand-down days. We see a lot of veterans that will come up to these programs, and veteran stand-down days is you give them a hot bath, give them a meal, you do a checkup, make sure that they got winter clothes for the winter, because we know they're going to be in the woods. And that's where I found out a lot of information that these guys and gals, and the majority of them, 72% of them, are veterans.
Okay.
And so these beds would actually help veterans, and not just somebody who just living off the welfare dime. And these are actually people that served our country, hit a bad time, and they're sleeping on the ground in the middle of the woods. Yeah. That's not right. We need to take care of veterans, and that's what I did.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want my countrymen sleeping on the ground any damn place, and that's the challenge that everybody's in when soft-hearted, tender-hearted lefties kind of come at us as conservatives. They think we just want to throw everybody out, and we don't. But you got to draw a line someplace, and we used to argue about where the line was drawn.
Yeah.
Now we're arguing about blowing up the ship. They want to blow up the ship.
Yeah. Well,
they want. I feel like they want to spend us into bankruptcy and then go, look, capitalism didn't work.
Exactly. $28 trillion in debt by 2025 will be $50 trillion. We got that infrastructure project bill. I call it a spending spree, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Okay, you're getting ready to leave. Hopefully you are elected. I hope you are elected. I hope you are elected, and I'm going to vote for you.
Thank you.
Talk to me a little bit about your sentiments for states' rights versus federalism, federal rights. The conflict that has been there, and every legislator who goes from the small to the big, as you work your way through a legislative career, you have these interest spheres that start to change.
Yeah.
Have you thought at all about how you're going to bring this to the national stage? Talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, first of all, being a state legislator, the federal government was always in our way. We need to get out of the way of states. States are sovereign. Arizona's a sovereign state. We need to get out of that. So one example of that is the amount of land mass that the state has given away to the federal government. 52% of our land mass is owned by the federal government. In the Constitution, we're not even supposed to have that. It's supposed to be a little over 10%, as you know. So I wrote a bill that in the State House it's called the Federal Land Acquisition Act. And what it did, it actually gave back our land to the state so we can create our own revenues and we
do our own thing.
Exactly, do our own things.
Yeah.
That is what I want to do in a bigger sphere of things when we are looking at states that the federal government has more land than it's constitutionally allowed. That's something that I want to do.
It seems like the federal government and Thomas Jefferson was really concerned about this, and so was Thomas Paine, as they talk about the federal government. And they didn't say this, but it's my analogy. They're like a boa constrictor. Mm-hmm. And anytime there's any weakness or wobble at the state level, the federal government seems to come in and vacuum up that space, but they don't ever back off.
Yeah.
So listen, I hope you go from Arizona, and I hope you put together a coalition of, honestly, we're pissed off Americans. What I see going on right now, it just angers me. And I'm a patriotic dude. I love this country.
Yeah.
I don't even want to go anywhere anymore. And I like going to Europe. I like traveling. I don't want to go anywhere anymore.
This is the only United States there is. There's nowhere else. I mean,
it's the last free great hope of the world.
Exactly.
And when you poll people in every country on planet Earth who want to emigrate to a country, this is the number one. And you could take the next 20 countries and add them up, and it's still smaller than who wants to come here. And it's not because we're a bunch of racist assholes. Let's talk about the elephant in the living room, because you're going to talk about it your whole career, and you're going to be sick of talking about it. So let's get it out of the way. Talk to me. You've had a very kind of you've actually had a continental existence growing up in Europe.
Sure did.
Talk to me about how race has affected you personally. And I guess I've encountered when I talk to people, because I will grab strangers and talk about race with them.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to hear what CNN wants to tell me about race. I want to talk to people.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about, have you seen, like, I've experienced bias, and it's, I could never complain about it, because I got the world by the ass and I hustle every day.
Yep.
But I see people around me of every race, creed, color, and religion who hustle every day, and I'm more like them than retired white ladies who are voting the Democratic Party.
Your side hustle.
So everybody's got a hustle going on, and for people who are hustling and cutting their way through life, I was during the Trump presidency when we started shutting down the country, and I heard this. He brought up a Guatemalan garage owner that worked on cars, and he reminded me of my Greek grandfather who had a Greek accent, who had a trucking business.
All right,
and I felt more akin to that guy than almost any Democrat I ever meet. Yeah. And then they had this guy who was blacker than 4 feet up a bull's ass, Nigerian.
I think I'm going to use that.
He was Nigerian. That's what my grandfather would have said. He was a sheriff here in Arizona.
We call it blue-black.
So. Oh, yeah. He was, and had a broken accent, and he's straight from Nigeria. And the Nigerian population is interesting. They succeed really well in the United States.
They do.
And he was talking about his family's restaurant and how it had been impacted. And I was like teary-eyed, and I was going to the GoFundMe to give him money, because I felt more connected to these two guys who, on the surface, everyone guys, a hillbilly Marine knife making white bearded motorcycle.
They put you in a box. They put you in a box.
And I was connected to those guys, and I had this warmness in my heart about these guys who were not born here, and they were more American than most people you meet.
Exactly.
I've talked a lot about America is the only country you can choose to be it, even if you aren't it yet.
Yeah.
If you value personal liberty and human freedom and all of that, really.
Personal responsibility, accountability. Yeah.
So I guess that brings us to Donald Trump. It puts you in an interesting column, being talk to me a little bit about how race has impacted you, or if it hasn't, or if it's been there, but it's been little bumps to hop across. It's never really been a block. Give us a sense of that.
So my family actually kind of came from the South, and my grandfather was in Alabama, and Mississippi, and also Texas. And
geez, my family was too. How old are you?
Yeah, I'm 55.
Oh, geez, we're about the same age too.
Hey, we may have the same mom and daddy.
My dad was in the Air Force too.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why my mom wouldn't let my dad go by himself. So they grew up in, they were in the South. And they talked to me about racism, lynching, couldn't vote, couldn't ride on a bus, when my parents would drive across the country when I was very, very young, like in 60, 67, 68, to go to another Air Force base, they had to make their route.
Kind of be careful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where to stop at, where they could eat at. This crap now, this isn't racism. This is entitlement. This is victimhood. This is what I am seeing. This is when I say entitlement now, I mean, reparations? Really? Are you kidding me? This is a country where a person can make the most of themselves, be successful. Look at you in your business. Former military, you got a multi-million-dollar business, and you did it from hard work. You can do that. Me, I ran for office in a district that's less than 3% black. Now, come on.
When I met you, it was funny. We met, and he walks up, and we said hi. I go, whoa, wait a minute. You're a black man named Blackman from Snowflake, Arizona. Are you kidding me? I said, that's awesome.
Yeah. I got to bring you up there. We can do some hunting.
I would love to.
Yeah. So my parents taught me, my grandparents taught me that hard work wins. And if you put forward, you got a gig, you got a side hustle that's legal, okay, legal.
Right.
You can make it. And if you don't make it, it's no one's fault. You just look at it, reevaluate, and go at it again, or do a self-assessment. If I want to be a doctor, but I can't stand blood, and I can't pass the academics, then maybe I don't need to be a doctor, and maybe it's not because of my skin color. So looking at race is a little different for me. And then growing up overseas, guys I played ball with, I mean, you didn't look at that. You just looked at somebody who was your friend, people that you hung out with. It's here in the United States, the left, they want to continue to push a narrative that anybody black or brown has a disadvantage because of something that happened over 200 and something years ago, which is garbage.
I think it's opportunistic. It's a lie. There is a feeling of everybody. I've said this before. I know this sounds really weird. I know, and it's almost condescending. I don't mean it to be. I saw more African Americans vote conservative than ever.
Yeah, and there are a lot more.
And the thing is like, I was kind of proud about that. I was like, all right, because it probably means it's a battle of ideas, and it's not just color that we're voting with. Well, when I see 90% of black people vote for Barack Obama, I kind of got it. I was like, good, let's get this glass ceiling broken. Fine.
That's a bad reason to vote for somebody because of their ethnic.
It is a horrible reason, but it happened.
It happened.
And so now we get that out of our system, and I was like, okay, can we just elect people on the content of what they represent, what they stand for?
Content of the character. Didn't the guy say that?
Yeah, I remember that guy.
Yeah, content of character.
So you didn't, you haven't personally experienced heavy racism?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you have?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's
Talk to me a little bit about it, because it sounds to me like your grandparents, my grandparents, were seminal in my formation.
Yeah.
It sounds like your grandparents and your parents taught you, doesn't matter what everybody else does, personal accountability, you can make it happen.
Yeah. But it wasn't the kind of racism that is being normalized in the news today. The racism that I experienced was from the left, was from Democrats, was from liberals.
Okay, give me an example. Give me an example.
So, for example,
you mean like you can't get your driver's license? It's not fair.
Yeah. I don't know how to get my driver's license. We don't know how to work the internet. I mean, come on, that's appalling, and it's insulting.
Yeah.
So,
like they're having a 1955 argument.
Yeah.
And that was like 70 years ago.
Now, here's my ID. So yeah.
So tell me, how did they?
We were at an event, and there were Republican tables and Democrat tables, and my daughter, who was 11 at the time, was handing out brochures. Okay, of me. And she didn't know the difference. I mean, she really didn't know the difference of, a Democrat. She didn't care. She was 11,
Right.
So she goes up to a Democrat table. She hands them my brochure. And the lady at the table, who is a Democrat wearing a Democrat shirt, says, "I don't take brochures from little niglets."
Oh, shit.
To an 11-year-old girl.
Oh, my God.
My daughter didn't know what it was. So she comes back to the table, and you haven't met my wife. She's a firecracker. She happens to be a white lady.
I saw that.
Yeah.
She good looking, too.
Oh, yeah. I got me one. I used to have a friend you say, "I got me one." So,
man, that's fantastic.
But here's the deal. When my daughter went to my wife and said, "Hey, what is a niglet?" So my wife was like, Army wife.
Oh, she's ready to start swinging.
Oh yeah, she goes over the table and just hands the lady her ass basically. But that's the kind of stuff that we've experienced. People calling me bootlicker, Uncle Tom. Which if you look up, Uncle Tom wasn't a bad guy. I don't know.
You know what it is? It's because they think they own black people.
They think they own black people.
They think they own you, so they think you're a traitor.
Exactly.
And the only way, my dad's a psychologist, okay, and he says when the reaction is this and the action is this, what's the rest of it? What else is going on?
Exactly.
And what you see is this reaction where they're having a reaction like you're stepping off the plantation,
and that's what it is.
And
off the liberal plantation.
Yeah, when I see that, there's this racism of low expectation. There's this liberal plantation of being captured by ideas. And the first time I heard it mentioned was Malcolm X when I was reading Malcolm X.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're going to say on this one.
Well, I'm not even going to go there, but, he was making it very clear, you have to think for yourself. Now, he had an extreme that he was
very extreme. But however, he did say.
And he earned it, though. I mean, he had a right to be extreme. From where he came from, he had a right to. Yeah, right now?
Yeah.
Maybe not so much.
No. He said the worst group of Americans for black Americans are liberals, or as a white liberal. That's exactly what
I know. I remember to say that.
Yeah. But, I've been exposed to racism, but not the type of racism that people will think, the old country redneck person. No, it's white liberals who have been racist, not only to me, but to my family. We've had death threats. I mean, all that stuff, so.
I've wrestled with it my whole life. And because my grandfather was a cop here in the 40s, white guy out of West Texas. My grandmother was out of Mississippi.
Oh, man.
They had the first integrated restaurant in Chandler where Indians, blacks, and whites could all eat together. Wow. And it wasn't like they were big. They were not liberals, although he was a Democrat. He was a Democrat in the he was an old-fashioned Democrat. I've wrestled with this kind of country Southern kind of bigotry floating around in the background of my makeup. And, I think it's dishonest to not be wrestling with those things and not be thinking about those things. And I see people overcompensating. I feel like it's because they're not acknowledging those demons that float around in us where we judge people. It's easy to judge people superficially. Yeah. And I like being surprised when my prejudices as I confront them are displaced.
Yeah. This is how I confront the white liberal racist. This is, and I call them that, and I point to abortion. Yeah. So if we look just demographically, and the data speaks for itself, there are more black babies that are aborted every single day, up to the tunes of about 1,300 black babies that are aborted by a program that is supported by liberals, by a program that was founded by a person named Margaret Sanger. And her goal was to do away with the black population. And and see, the thing that I grapple with every single day, if we take out everything that the left gives to the black community, and I can only speak to the black community, okay? If we take out all that and just leave the fact that they are committing genocide, how in the world could a black American today, knowing that, of sound thinking, support an organization that is actively committing genocide? And it's because it's brainwashed. Right. So we brainwash the black community and give them all these giveaways like generational welfare. And I said it, and some folks will probably be pissed off because I'm saying that on your show. That takes away. That's the shiny object. But the real crime that the Democrat Party has put on the black community is abortion. And I'm not just talking early stage abortion. I'm talking all stage with a higher number of late term abortion. Tom O'Halloran, who's a Democrat, has voted every time with Nancy Pelosi for late term abortion, where he is actively, when you take a vote like that, actively exterminating the black population. So you want to talk about racism? Yeah. Let's talk about I compare the Democrat Party and their abortion policies the same as what Hitler was doing to the Jews.
I'm gonna say that it's an ugly byproduct of a blindsided issue they have, which is women's rights. Women's rights are the most important thing to them to the point of women's superiority, the women's preference, women's everything. And okay, fine. I see what's going on in New York right now. It's pretty amazing. It's a form of racism that is hidden in public policy.
Yeah.
So you talk about systemic racism in this country, and I don't really see systemic. I see isolated racism.
Yeah.
As well as isolated bias. I mean, you know what you don't want to be? You don't want to be a fat 68-year-old anybody in this country, because fat old people are fucking, they're persona non grata. I see what's going on in New York where they're talking about these vaccine passports, and you see almost 70% of the African American population is not vaccinated or doesn't want it or doesn't trust the government for a variety of historic reasons.
Yeah, the Tuskegee experiment.
Like maybe I don't want the government giving me a shot. Look,
they gave us a lot of shots, and then
I'm a cracker out here in Arizona, and I don't want the shot. So anyway, I see them doing these. You can't go in public buildings, you can't get public services, you can't go to restaurants, you can't go to the gym, and you can't go to school unless you have the vaccine. I'm like. And like 90% of the white people in New York have got the vaccine.
Exactly.
So they're making a rule that blocks out 70% of black people, and I'm shaking my head going, "Are you guys morons?"
And that's I don't know, Jim Crow 2.0. There's, it's
COVID JC.
Oh yeah.
COVID Jim Crow.
COVID Jim Crow. But they're doing the same thing. I mean, you nailed it right on the head.
It's crazy.
So, these folks are being left out.
Well, listen, absolute pleasure having you in. Is there anything else you'd like to cover with me? We could talk about Afghanistan, the absolute vacancy of leadership and the crime that's been committed against humanity. We talk about a party, the Democrat Party. The current president is, obsessively women's rights oriented, and they've just abandoned millions of women.
Yeah, they have.
For real.
Yeah, and they're
little boys.
And they're going to be getting their heads cut off.
They're going to get their heads cut off. They're going to be beaten to death in the street. They're going to be raped.
But how?
And it's not theory. It's
real.
It's real going to happen.
It's real. But what will we expect from a group of people who don't value life here?
Right. If it's okay to, I know it's so frustrating. And so we end up having conversations about, we're arguing about driver's licenses.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Which is the dumbest argument ever that all Americans have conceded is reasonable. Like 86% of Americans approve of needing a driver's license to vote. We're having massive public arguments about that and COVID.
And then people are getting their heads cut off.
Right.
Yeah, Americans too, because we've
abandoning everything.
Yeah, we've got tens of thousands of Americans that are abandoned, can't get on the air bases now because they're already cornered off. Now what? Now you were in the Marine Corps, and I'm just gonna. Here we go. I could see it. I could see it bowling up on you. What commander evacuates their military before civilians?
It's what happens when you have people with degrees in gender and ethnic studies running the government.
Exactly.
Because the Politburo of Joe Biden's administration is actually running the White House. Because he ought to goddamn well know better.
Well, yeah,
he's on the wrong side of everything for the last 50 years.
Well, but he did say that he was they pushed it. He was the most experienced foreign policy expert out there, and he couldn't even get this right.
Unbelievable.
So here's what I'm like. Biden shouldn't be there because he's vacant. He is vacant. He is a commander in chief that's derelicted his duties. My argument is not so much with this old guy who is senile. He shouldn't be in there. My argument is with the folks that are pushing this and the folks that have to make those decisions. So I'm talking about the Lloyd Austins, who is the defense secretary. Yeah. I'm talking about the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. I'm talking about the rest of these folks who are seasoned intelligence analysts. They knew that this was going to happen. They briefed the president this, and then they allowed it.
It's the worst of the worst.
Exactly.
So I said there's incompetence and then there's malfeasance. And to have this many people all agree to do the wrong thing is malfeasance.
Exactly.
So let's talk about the last thing and let it go because I know you got things to do. The Trump election.
Oh my goodness.
Are you hearing any scuttlebutt about the report supposed to come out next week? Are they still saying it's going to happen next week?
Yes. It's going to come out. The Senate is actually heading that up. I would like it would be to be both chambers, but the Senate took it up. It's going to come out. And I'm a conspiracy theorist, and
oh, you are?
I'll say that, But here's the deal: I think that they know that all this stuff is going to be coming up about the elections because we got other states that are getting ready to do it too, and these reports are going to come out. What better way
to distract everybody?
Exactly.
I said it in my podcast yesterday. I said, "Why would you ever? This doesn't make sense to an 8-year-old."
Exactly.
and they all agreed on it?
Exactly.
Is this three-card Monty?
Exactly. And then you've got some Democrats, the fake news that are saying, wow, this is weird.
Mm-hmm.
This is weird.
Right.
So these reports are going to be coming out. What better way to take the eye off the ball, distract, and to do something like this? But we need to look at globally, the distraction globally, not just Afghanistan. So we got the V variant, we got the D variant, we got Afghanistan, we've got the COVID and all that stuff. But what is China doing while all this is happening?
They're moving in.
They're moving in. They're buying up our country.
Yep.
We owe more money and interest to China than we do any other country. And they're just sitting on the sideline kind of just buying up the United States.
All right. So I know we don't want to get taken down off YouTube, but do you think the election was clean?
No.
Okay, I don't think so either. Are you hearing any scuttlebutt behind the scenes in the halls of people connected that it's is it marginal or is it big?
It's big.
Okay,
it's big.
And I've heard the same thing. I got a friend who's pretty connected in Georgia, and they're telling me like what they're hearing. They can't believe it's not the biggest news story on planet Earth.
Yeah.
So
because the liberal left controls the media,
and then you know it's true when all of them coordinatedly say it's not true with no evidence.
Exactly.
They say, oh, that's not true. They have no evidence. They're all collectively saying that as the evidence is pouring out. I'm like, there's everything but a dead body's blood pouring out from underneath the door right now.
Exactly. So let me tell you what happened to one of my neighbors up in Snowflake. Yeah, okay. I know, yeah. One of my neighbors happened, and this was before the election. Before the election, he comes to me and says, hey, I didn't get my ballot. But my wife did, and I've been getting my ballots every year for the last 20-something years. I'm like, okay, well, we'll check it out. So he goes over to the county clerk's office, asks about the ballot, and lo and behold, he's already voted.
Oh, shit.
He's already voted. And no, I haven't. And I'm with it. I'm with him. No, I haven't voted. I usually get my ballot at home. No, you voted. So that
something nefarious is going on.
Yes. So for someone who just out of the blue, before all this happens, we go to the county recorder's office who collects, they do the voting, and you've already voted. You can't vote. So we had to do a provisional ballot. And that is one of many, because when that person came out, other people started coming out.
I know, and I've heard so many similar stories down here in town. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Yeah. Well, listen, absolute pleasure having you come in. I know you got stuff to do. I know I've already made you late for your next gig.
No, you're fine.
I really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks.
And I don't thank anybody for their service. Hey, do you have any websites you'd like to plug or anything to let people know about your election or your campaign?
Yeah, I do. Go to you're going to laugh. www.blackmanforcongress.com.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so www.blackmanforcongress.com. Need your help, need your donations. We can win this, and we need real leadership to take back our country.
I talk to people all the time. People say, what should we do? And I say, be involved locally, because you can really make a big difference locally.
Yep.
Because at the precinct level, it's easy to steer the group. It's easy to nudge the group. I don't say take it over, but you can nudge the group, and you can also stop chicanery.
And you can stop the mess that's going on at the school boards if we get more people to run for school
board's a big one. Yeah, we got to start shutting down communists in our country.
We sure do.
Yeah.
We sure do.
Well,
thank you so much.
Pleasure having you here.
I appreciate
Thanks so
you.
much.
You ain't black. We are led by very, very stupid people. Very, very stupid people. We cannot let it continue.